Hello and welcome to the Metal Pack Pod, the industry's leading podcast for the global metal packaging market. The Metal Pack Pod is brought to you by the Metal Packager, the number one digital resource for the global metal packaging market. With over 7,000 monthly users in over 150 countries globally, be sure to check us out on metalpackager.com. I'm your host Alex Fordham, and in today's episode we interview Eduardo Alegria, Global Business Director for Metal Packaging Inks at Sun Chemical. We discuss Sun Chemical's new metal packaging colour library, developed with X-Rite, which aims to standardise colour communication and streamline production. Eduardo also shares insights on the evolution and resilience of the metal packaging sector, digital printing innovations, and sustainability efforts, including bio-renewable inks and waste reduction. Our conversation also covers industry challenges, consumer trends, and the importance of clear messaging around metal packaging sustainability advantages. Eduardo highlights Sun Chemical's commitment to innovation and customer support within the industry. Eduardo has been with Sun Chemical since 2007, where he was Commercial Director, and in 2024 he assumed the role of Global Director for the Metal Packaging Inks. Before we begin the episode, we must give a special mention to our sponsors, PPG Packaging Coatings. Their range of innovative and sustainable solutions help protect and beautify the world. Now on to today's show. Good morning, Eduardo. How are you?
All fine, thanks, Alex. Nice seeing you again.
Yeah, likewise. It's been certainly been a few months since we've last spoken, so looking forward to an interesting conversation with regards to the latest developments at Sun Chemical, latest market trends, and various other bits and pieces. So yeah, looking forward to a good conversation. I think first place I want to begin. I know recently Sun Chemical, you had an announcement with X-Rite about a new metal packaging colour libraries, and the story's certainly done really well on our social media channels, and just picking out a couple of bits of feedback from our customers. I know one individual mentioned that this is definitely going to help standardise colours in the metal deco sector. So from an outsider looking in, it appears that this announcement has been really well received. So I think that's probably a nice place to start. You must be delighted with the feedback from customers so far.
In fairness, yes, this is our most ambitious project for the last 10 years. Our aim is to find solutions to those parts of the process of the can making industry where we feel we can do something to improve, and it's gaining some traction, not just with customers, but also with brand owners. They are all understanding the value of having standardized colors, digitalized libraries, all talking the same language, measuring the colors. I think it will help brand owners, it will help customers, it will help everyone across the industry. So yeah, we are delighted, but we are still far away from where we want to be. Okay, we still need a few years to get there, but we will do.
And apologies not to put you on the spot, but I had a good look at the press release prior to our call, and I was interested with one of your comments in the press release, and you mentioned the fact this is going to minimise delays and reworks and ink laydowns in the trial during the production run. I just wondered, do you have any quantifiable data in terms of potentially whether that's time saved or monetary value here? Is there anything to kind of put a little bit of meat on the bone for our audience here?
It's very difficult to quantify it in money, but I'll give you an example that speaks for itself. To generate a new label in the beverage can industry takes somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks. Okay, normal time could be maybe 4 or 5. We have generated a label in day 1 and produced and controlled the cans in day 3. Okay, so in 48 hours, we are capable of generating a label, communicate to all parties, and produce the cans. The label was generated in the UK, the inks were produced in Madrid, and the cans were produced in another plant in Spain, but not in Madrid. Okay, and this was just in 48 hours and right first time. This is the target, that designers, brand owners generate something in their computers that they know it can be done. We spread that information across all the stakeholders, which is can makers, ink suppliers. Then the magic happens and the cans are made and they are right first time. Okay, there is plenty of work behind the scenes to make sure that all this works and all these standard colors are properly defined. They have to look like in the screen or in the Sun Digi guide. We print digital Pantone guides that can be used by designers, brand owners to generate their designs with very accurate visual colors. Okay, so we are simplifying the whole process for everyone.
Excellent. In terms of your customer requirements, is that the way things are going now? In terms of, is it the time saving element that's becoming increasingly more important, particularly with for marketing professionals to be able to do kind of short runs, that kind of marketing campaigns around a particular issue that's becoming more and more prevalent. So is that kind of where things are going in terms of customer requirements, or is there something else at play here in terms of what your customers are looking for?
I think what our customers or what everyone is looking for is to simplify the process. Those 4 to 6 weeks are not because people have a lot of work to do. It's because there is a complexity. There is plenty of communication between all the parties. With this tool, communication goes almost in one blast and everyone gets it. Okay. So it's about simplifying the process.
Excellent stuff. That makes sense. And I think that's, leads nicely into a couple of topics I would like to speak about later in terms of kind of AI, automation, sustainability. But we'll rewind things for a moment, and just for perhaps our listeners who aren't quite as well acquainted with Sun Chemical, if you could provide just a bit of a brief overview about the company, and particularly, I know you're in multiple industries, but really interested in kind of your heritage within the metal packaging sector. So that's probably a nice place to essentially to begin our conversation.
Well, Sun Chemical has been in the metal packaging business forever, in one form or another. We are part of the DIC group, a Japanese company, and with more or less pressure on the market, we've been here for over 100 years. But in the recent history, I will go back to the end of the last century. The strongest business for Sun Chemical was publications, well, for Sun Chemical and for any ink producer. And in those days, metal packaging was a bit like a secondary business, okay? But when internet came, all the industry focused on packaging, on the packaging business. And since day one, I would say that for Sun Chemical, metal packaging was a go-to market, and we have been strongly investing in people, in acquisitions, in equipment for the last 25 years. Okay, we are part of the packaging division, in packaging and graphics in Sun Chemical, and Sun Chemical it's one important business area where we are focusing and investing consistently.
Hey, so just in terms of, I know you mentioned, I just wrote a couple of notes there whilst you were speaking. You said that originally metal packaging was kind of a secondary business for Sun Chemical. I know that seems to have changed within the last 2 decades or so, which is great to hear from our side of things. I mean, is there any able to quantify that in terms of the size of the metal packaging sphere in comparison to other parts of the packaging divisions, just so that we can kind of picturise in our head about kind of the size of the operation here?
In terms of sales, I would say that metal packaging would be somewhere around 3 to 4% of the Sun Chemical business. Okay, it's a small portion. From the outside, you might think that it makes us that we are weak inside the organization, but we are very well organized. We have. That also gives us access to many central services. The Sun Chemical organization is very powerful in things like sustainability, analytical resources for migration, for example, supply chain. being part of that big group makes us stronger. Okay, so although we are a small portion in terms of volume, I think it makes us a strong partner for our customers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That definitely makes sense. And just in terms of yourself, I know certainly since I've been in the industry, you've been within the Sun Chemical organisation. Just a little bit of background behind yourself. You've risen to your global champion now for Sun Chemical. So just a bit of background behind yourself and kind of your heritage within the not just this sector, but I'm guessing the inks business as well. Just to get a bit of background behind yourself.
I've only been working in metal packaging. Okay, in metal packaging, inks and coating. So I joined the company in '94 after I finished university. Started as we were 3 people in the team doing inks for metal packaging. Then I took responsibility over coatings, customer technical service, then moved to export with a sales team, sales direction, and finally global champion and global business director in Sun Chemical for the metal packaging inks. Okay, but it's short, but it's been 31 years now.
And I'd imagine you wouldn't think about doing anything else because of that length of time. So no, it's congratulations on a great career and plenty more years, no doubt. But you mentioned there when starting out, there's only 3 of you within the business, so you're probably a perfect individual to ask about kind of how the industry has changed over that period of time. And also, I'm just interested to know, kind of, did you prefer the industry when it was kind of just 2 or 3 of you working, or I know the business has kind of grown into a bit of a beast in terms of the scale of the operation. So it's just a question I often like asking people is, did you prefer it then or do you prefer it now? Or
The industry now is much more professional. Us, our customers, our suppliers, much more efficient, more professional. We continue having problems. We continue having good times as well. It was a bit more relaxed in the past. Okay, since I joined the company until now, the volume of ink we sell has multiplied times more than 10 or 12. Okay, so problems can multiply by 10 or 12. But I have to say that in the past, we were all learning about can making. Now we all know about can making, so it's a lot easier. Okay, this industry was still evolving in the 90s, and now it's a mature business, and all these problems that we used to have because we were all learning have disappeared, and it's now a much more efficient industry, and it runs much smoother.
But with that efficiency comes with its own challenges, I suppose. And certainly speaking from my point of view, the last few years, I think the major challenge for the industry is volatility. We've had various kind of white swan events and inflationary pressures, cost of living crisis for end consumer, and obviously speaking from my side of things, being in the UK, obviously Brexit, we've had obviously the COVID-19 pandemic. So there are lots of different challenges that we could never have envisioned there.
Yeah. One thing that I've learned in all these events is how resilient can making is. Metal packaging is got many very good attributes. Okay, and it can be decorated or paper labeled, but at the end, it's tamper-proof, light-proof, heat-proof, lightweight, and then we've got the recyclability credentials that are best in class. Okay, so I think it's got a very good balance of properties. Okay, and it's very difficult to, if you're using metal packaging for your product, I think it's difficult to migrate to other products in all your portfolio. So I think we have a good space guaranteed for metal packaging. Okay.
Absolutely, and you're certainly preaching to the converted there, and certainly advocate the benefits of metal packaging. I think just on kind of that note, I think one question I was really looking forward to ask is that certainly in the last couple of years, meeting you at various trade shows around the world, you've been you and your team have been relatively downbeat about kind of the health of the industry. Certainly, we had the peak during COVID, and I think it was certainly a boom time for the industry, and what comes up must come down. And I think we were kind of privy to that. But anecdotally, conversations I've had with our customers seems we don't want to speak too soon, but the industry seems to have bounced back a little bit. I just wondered, is that consistent with Sun Chemical's take on things? You tend to be a good market commentator on these things, so I was looking forward to asking that question.
Well, one of my complaints about the industry was more about how the industry behaves. Okay, one of my complaints to the industry is that we are super conservative, and that sometimes is, I was going to say annoying. Maybe it's not the right word, but sometimes it delays decisions. It delays some progress. I was telling before about this project with Pantone Life, 10 years in the pipeline. The industry is sometimes slow taking decisions, okay? And but also, again, I'm having more visibility on other packaging products. And once again, I realize we are not unique. We are not the only slow ones, okay? Everyone is slow at the end of the day. We are mainly part of a supply chain that involves food or chemicals, or it's a very sensitive market, and you have to take your steps carefully. I still would like the industry to be a bit more aggressive on that. I think we should take a step forward in certain innovations. And you were mentioning AI or others. Okay, I'd love to see our industry progressing in that direction. We are all talking about it, but I don't know who is doing something. Okay, that's my complaint. We are terribly conservative. I'd like it to be a bit more aggressive in new developments or new ways of doing things, and that applies to. I think it applies to almost every mature business. Okay, yeah. We are here and we are comfortable.
Exactly. I just wanted to press you on just in terms of the health of the industry, though. You're a little bit more kind of upbeat for the health of the industry as it stands at the moment.
Yeah. I mean, we are going to suffer the bumps that the whole industry will suffer. I mean, you've said about the environment. Anything can go up or down, but as I think it's going to be a bit more amortized than other industries. Okay. The beverage can business, for example, if economy goes better, we sell more cans. If economy goes terrible, people still drinks the beer, so we still have the market. But I can tell there is a decline in the packaging business across Europe, and we are still not seeing it in the metal packaging. For sure, not yet in beverage, and at least until August, I would say not in the tin plate 3-piece business. Okay, so I think we are a bit more resilient than the others.
We now have a quick break to check in with our friends at PPG. As sponsors of the Metal Pack Pod for 2022, we're delighted to have support from one of the industry's leading coatings and specialty material suppliers within the industry. Here's a little snippet from the latest at PPG.
Experience the iSense family of specialty coatings. PPG iSense Specialty Over Varnishes help beverage brands stand out on the shelf with unique effects. A tactile finish with a dynamic effect you can see and touch. A velvety, deep matte finish. A satiny smooth, medium gloss over varnish. A white base coat that makes colors pop. A bottle can and cup over varnish that enables special shapes. And a luxurious finish that shimmers and shines. Proven performance, possibilities. Learn more at www.packagingcoatings.com/iSense.
That's good to hear. Just want to move the conversation on and just move more on towards the obviously technology side with Sun Chemical. I know we've mentioned the tie-up with X-Rite. Looks very exciting. Just wondered, is there any other advancements at Sun Chemical that we can look forward to? I know there's the range of products, Sun Duo, Trio, and Altec. Is that still a major part of your ammunition in terms of new product innovation?
In terms of product innovation, we have to keep up with regulatory changes, especially with UV inks. Recently, we have removed the PFAS from all the inks. We don't have BPA, so that has not been an issue for us. Also, another very exciting project that Sun Chemical has in metal packaging is printing in the digital printing, digital inks. It's a market that is going to bloom someday. Sun Chemical has a very strong division. We bring the knowledge of the metal packaging and they bring the knowledge of printing in digital. It's a completely different beast because it's very, very high technology. If you see the nozzle of a print head of a digital line, you think it is magic that can be printing. Okay, so we are working with them. We are working with some customers already. And I think that will be our next step into a new market. Okay, metal packaging will become digital at some moment or partially digital. Right now, all technology is UV. We would love to have some partner doing water-based digital inks, but we don't find OEMs that want to participate of the metal packaging market. I guess they see it as a small market. That's an interesting one. And then the rest of the innovation comes around color and color communication, where we think the market still has to evolve. There is still more to be done with color communication, color management, color measurement, automating the industry. So there are a few things that we have in the pipeline or at least in our minds to bring to the market.
So it ties into that conservatism within the marketplace, isn't it? It's in terms of innovations, it's more evolutionary than revolutionary, and it's small steps, but nevertheless important ones there.
Yeah, digital is one of them. In MedPack 23, everyone was excited about digital printing. Since then, I would say that single pass machines in the world have been installed 4, 5, 6. Okay, I don't have the Chinese market very well controlled, but in the rest of the world, it's just very few. And the comment from customers is it's okay, but it's different.
When I visited Koenig & Bauer recently, and they've got their MetJet 1 machine, which seems to have been well received. One interesting takeaway there was that it doesn't have to be digital or analog. It should be a case of the digital side of things should basically coexist with the analog side of the business. So do you think there's still a misconception that from perhaps your customers that it's almost concerned that the digital is going to replace the existing analog systems that they have? And it's not really, that's not what digital is there for. It's a useful addition for those kind of small to medium sized runs, the craft side of the business. And it's not just a case of a total transition to digital. And do you think there's more to be done from perhaps a communications point of view for the industry as a result?
I don't know how to solve it, but yeah, you're right. And the KB approach is excellent. Okay, because it's like a hybrid system. They have two systems with a single pass and with a multi-pass digital press, but always, or if you want, in combination with the analog printing. I think the industry has to find a way on how to use this technology. Okay. It's, as said before, it's a different product. Maybe you have to market it different. People is considering it initially, especially in all the markets, as short length runs, and people should see it as also added value, new businesses, personalizing cans that are printed first analog, and then you just put paint cans. You just put the color in digital. Okay. We have to find how to make business with this technology, because I think there is plenty of potential. Okay. And if it is working in other industries, it'll have to work in ours as well.
Yeah. Is it a harsh reality of life now, though, that it comes down to cost? There's numbers on a balance sheet, and at the moment, the numbers perhaps don't stack up for customers?
I think it's about cost, the investment, and the risk, because it's a new product. You invest $2, $3, $4 million in a new machine when you can invest a similar amount of money for a traditional printer, okay, with 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. And I think this conservative mindset of the industry says, okay, let's go with what we know. Anyway, there are customers taking the risk, and I'm sure they will be learning and finding how to transform this investment into proper business. But again, for me, it's about how to sell this new product. Okay.
Absolutely. And just in terms of other market trends, perhaps on the consumer level, is there any interesting trends that your customers are looking at the moment? I mean, we've talked about, I suppose we've talked about a few of them here already. I just wondered, is there anything in terms of the food and beverage market that interesting trends that we're seeing and you're seeing from your customers and what they're looking for in terms of products?
Well, trends vary by region. Okay. In the case of beverage, maybe a bit less. The market is shifting to smaller producers. And now there are many craft breweries. There are new products in cans. This is bringing a lot of complexity. That's why we bring tools to reduce that complexity of label creation. There is also an interest in personalization, but it doesn't go too far. Efficiency improvements, of course, and sustainability. Everyone wants to have a more sustainable process and product without jeopardizing the competitiveness. Okay, so there is that appetite to make a sustainable but as competitive product, a more sustainable but as competitive product. And it's a fair ask. Okay, we have all the credentials of the recyclability for the cans. We have to improve our carbon footprint. And this is what the industry is also looking for, reducing the carbon footprint.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of leads us nicely onto in terms of sustainability. I'm guessing that refers to earlier what you mentioned about the fact that as a global business, you're enjoying the fruits of that labour in terms of sustainability goals. I know recently that the company got a silver rating from EcoVadis, so obviously that's a nice feather in the cap. So is there anything in terms of your division that you're doing to kind of fly the flag for sustainability? I agree, the carbon footprint side of things for the business is important because we've got a sustainable product. It's just obviously that it's very intensive in terms of materials, which is an ongoing challenge, of course.
Yeah, our first initiatives were about sourcing bio-renewable raw materials. Okay, so we have reached to a point where around 45% on average of our inks has a bio-renewable origin. Okay, it's very difficult to progress from there. I mean, the effort to go from 45 to 50 is going to be phenomenal. So we are looking for other opportunities. Sun Chemical has a patent to recycle PET. Okay, we can recycle post-consumer PET and convert it into part of our resin. So we could have somewhere around 8 to 10% of recycled PET in our resins. In our inks, in fact, not in the resin. And then we also have the company has a top to bottom strategy. We have our 2030 objectives and 2050 net zero, but also we have bottom to top initiatives. Our mother plant, where we produce 75% of our inks, we have a sustainability roadmap, and we are constantly evolving and trying to find options to reduce our residues, to reduce our water or electrical consumption or fuel consumption. So, but all this is all gathered together in the sustainability report, on the Sun Chemical Sustainability Report, which is what is public. I'm proud to say that we have people challenging us with projects reducing our yield or reducing our scrap.
sustainability is an interesting one because certainly in the last couple of years, you're seeing administrations across the world perhaps taking a step back from sustainability rhetoric. I think maybe that's been reflected in the administration, particularly in the US, for instance. I know that's probably a conversation for another podcast there, but just interested from a kind of a brand perspective. Does that mean that sustainability is still front and center of messaging, particularly for the end consumers as well? Because I know it seems to be, I think during inflationary pressures that we've seen, it's kind of the rhetoric from a lot of global brands as to perhaps just take a little step back from kind of promoting the importance of sustainability and perhaps focusing more on cost, price, benefits. And I just wondered from a company perspective, are you still very much, to use a poker term, all in when it comes to sustainability?
I think one lesson we are learning is that people is not willing to pay more for, or not everyone, or not the majority of the people is willing to pay more for something more sustainable. But the request is, okay, make it more sustainable at the same price at least. Okay. So we get that pressure to improve our sustainability credentials, but at the same cost. And I think that applies to everyone. Okay, to all the industries.
That's just in terms of cost of living pressures for a lot of people, particularly young people. I think people are happy to make a sustainability choice where possible, as long as it doesn't affect their pocket. But if you've got financial pressures, then it's the same in business, isn't it? If you've got financial pressures, you're often going to go for the short-term option, the cheaper option, rather than looking at it from the longer-term strategy. So I think for brands, it's important just to kind of still take a medium to long-term approach, because these things are often cyclical, aren't they?
Yeah, but also consider that our competitors. Yesterday we had a Brazilian customer here talking about the Brazilian market, how all the paint industry is migrating to plastic, food is migrating to stand-up pouches, or part of it, or brands are implementing refills in flexible packaging versus the rigid metal packaging. We have our sustainability story of the metal packaging, but the guys doing PET bottles or stand-up pouches, they also have their own story. Okay. And we are extraordinarily good at recycling. We still can be better in some regions of the world. But as we said before, our carbon footprint is also very high. Okay.
Do you think that's the biggest challenge moving forward for the industry then? That is certainly in the clickbait culture that we kind of now live in, and are we losing the marketing war a little bit in terms of the sustainability, or do you think we're improving?
We are improving a lot. We are much better than 10 years ago, okay, or 15. We are improving. But what I'm saying is that everyone has their own story, okay? And they use different parameters, and it's very, very difficult to say cans are more sustainable than PET. Yeah. It's very, very difficult to have an absolute. I mean, there is no independent organization telling you that. Okay, we sell our attributes; they sell theirs, and then the consumer takes their own decisions.
It's right. I mean, whose job is it to promote the merits of metal packaging? Because majority of companies are in multiple different sectors, so they're obviously going to be conservative in that approach to say metal's better than PET, for instance, because if they're in both industries, then it's not in their interest to kind of fly the flag. So it's always the challenge as an industry we have, is that who's going to be driving this forward?
When you talk to a PET supplier, they tell you in one lorry you put 160,000 cans. We can put 3 million preforms of PET. Okay, and they are right. The carbon footprint in the transport of the cans is significantly higher. But then we tell them, but you cannot recycle it. Yeah, well, we can recycle to a certain extent. So we said before, we are doing it better. We are communicating more, but everyone is doing it. Okay, this battle we still have to fight a lot. Okay, and having said that, cans are very, very well positioned. A bottle maker told me a couple of years ago the cans have won the sustainability battle.
Who said that, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't say the name.
I knew that would be the case.
Okay. But okay, that is very good news, because we are doing a lot of effort. The industry is doing a big effort in communicating, but the other industries are doing the same.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think the big opportunity certainly for metal packaging is, I know the industry's had the issue of BPA over its head for the last 20 years plus, and obviously with a lot of the BPA free innovations there, that's very attractive. And we're talking about the PET market, microplastics, certainly in health and wellness, certainly a very fashionable topic, but it's becoming increasingly important in society. And I know there's lots of influencers online, podcasts, video content speaking about the issues of microplastics for individuals and how much you ingest on a yearly basis. So now there is the opportunity to flip reverse and start being perhaps a little bit more assertive about the potential harm for individuals with kind of microplastics. But again, it's who's driving that, and it's a very conservative industry where we've not liked to attack the opposition, so to speak. So it's there's opportunity and there is narrative there. It's just how we drive that moving forward.
Yeah, but more than attacking the others, I think we have to defend our positions. Okay, it gets to an evil point where we are all just telling what the other is doing wrong or is worse, or it's a potential problem for the consumer. Okay, we have to look at our own factories, our own product, see what we can do better. As I said, our Achilles heel is the carbon footprint. That's where we have to put all our efforts in. All the three-piece industry is migrating to UV LED, but again, if you ask me, slowly. Okay. And I'm guilty. Initially, we were stopping everyone. We didn't know, more photo initiators, risk of migration. I think it is the time to migrate. And the reduction of the carbon footprint in the process of printing and varnishing can be phenomenal. So we have to take all those steps. All these initiatives of green steel from, I think it's Russelstein, they call it the Blue Mint steel. All those initiatives we have to foster across the industry, because this is where the value is. And if the others generate microplastics, it's not for us to tell. Okay, it'll come out.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's interesting. And just in terms of kind of closing remarks, I'm just interested to hear about Sun Chemical. Is there anything, kind of any popular misconceptions in terms of your offering to metal packaging, or is there what's kind of common feedback that you get from your customers that perhaps listeners to this podcast might not know or understand about Sun Chemical? It's probably a nice opportunity to put that point across.
Well, we've done a big effort in the last 20 years in being known across the industry. For those that are not still fully aware, I think Sun Chemical is, if you have something about printing, you have to contact Sun Chemical. Okay? Any intention from any question about printing from any metal packager has to run through Sun Chemical, because we have most of the answers, and we have a dedicated team that, if we don't have the answers, we'll work to find it. Okay. We have a solution provider attitude. We are constantly working to find solutions to problems in the industry. And that's it. For me, the message is we are the place to go for any printing related query. Okay. We will help.
Excellent. That's probably a nice place to conclude the conversation. So, no, Eduardo, it's been a pleasure catching up. I know we've spoken about a lot of interesting topics that we could probably have a podcast alone on. So, no, it's been kind of whistle stop tour of the latest developments within the industry and also Sun Chemical, and it's been fascinating. And I've certainly learned a lot. So, no, I really appreciate your time, and look forward to checking in with you again soon.
Thank you for the opportunity, Alex. I have enjoyed, and plenty of luck.
That's great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Eduardo.
Thank you.